Hello, historians. This is another video where I'm going to take you through your guided notes at your own pace. So you're able to pause the video whenever you need and restart the video whenever you need. So today we're going to talk about the geography of Rome. The development of a civilization is affected by geography, just the same as every civilization. Rome did not spring into being as a power on the Italian peninsula. It began as a tiny village along the Tiber River. It was in an excellent location with 7 hills offering a natural defensive barrier. The Tiber River easily gave these early settlers access to fresh water for drinking and for bathing, as well as a waterway for trade and food to eat. Because remember, they didn't have roads back then, so the only road that Rome had at the very beginning was the Tiber River, where they were able to sail to other ends of their civilization. The flat land on the other side of the Tiber River was perfect for farmland. The soil was good, so crops could be grown easily. So your first blanks are number 1, civilization, number 2, Tiber River, and number 4, which should actually be number 3, 7 hills. So these 7 hills, and this is a map of the city of Rome where you can sort of see all of the different hills. In ancient times, there were enemies everywhere. These early people still had to feed, shelter, and bathe themselves and water their animals. The area along the Tiber River in the 7 hills offered exactly what they needed. They started their city on top of one hill, and they built walls around it. As they expanded, they also expanded their wall until one wall encircled all 7 hills, which you can see on this map. And so your next blank is number 4, walls. Mountains. Rome was protected by 2 mountain ranges, the Alps and the Apennines. The Alps ran across the northern border and protected Rome during the winter months. The Apennines cut the Italian peninsula in half, giving Rome needed protection, especially in the early days when Rome was growing and developing an army. So we can see that this up here is the Alps. Our city of Rome is right here where my mouse is. We see the Alps sort of cut off the Italian peninsula from the rest of Europe, so that keeps them safe. Whereas the Apennine Mountains run down the body of the Italian peninsula. And you can see they sort of form this half circle shape around Rome that really keeps them safe as well. So on your guided notes, you see that you have this map. We are going to go ahead and go through this map in order. So the first thing that you're going to label is the city of Florence, which is right here. The second thing you're going to label is the Tiber River. Remember, that's the river that runs through Rome. The next thing you'll label is the island of Corsica, right here. Then the island of Sardinia, which is right under the island of Corsica. And then you'll label this as the Tyrrhenian Sea. And so if you need to pause and see how that's spelled, it's right here, Tyrrhenian Sea. That's to the west of Rome. And then you have the island of Sicily. That is at the very bottom of Rome. If you see, the Italian peninsula is a little bit shaped like a boot. You can see that's where the toes would go. That's sort of the high heel of the boot. And so the island of Sicily is like a ball that the boot is kicking. Then you have the Alps Mountains. Remember, those are the mountains at the very top of Italy. And then you have the Adriatic Sea. The Adriatic Sea is the sea to the east of Italy. Then the Apennines Mountains, you can pause and see how that's spelled. Remember, those are the mountains that are going down the length of Italy. And then we have our city, which is Rome. This is the biggest city in Italy. That is where all of the Roman Empire will span from. And then let me move my camera for our final one. Finally, we have the Mediterranean Sea. The Mediterranean Sea is to the south of Italy. So I'm going to give us a second to pause, write all these down, and then continue on to the next one. So, the Etruscans. Around 900 BCE, a new group of people arrived on the Italian peninsula. Nobody knows exactly where they came from, but archaeologists believe that they probably immigrated from Southwest Asia. They were the Etruscans. The Etruscan alphabet was based on the Greek alphabet. The Etruscan gods looked human like the Greek gods instead of the Egyptian gods, which remember looked like animals. But the Etruscans were not Greeks. Their language was different, and unlike the Greeks, they treated women like equals. Like Greeks, the Etruscans organized their towns into city states, and the city states worked together in a league called the Etruscan League. So, your blanks for this one are 7, the Italian peninsula; number 8, the Etruscans; number 9, the Greek alphabet; and number 10, the Etruscan League. The League of City-States mostly cooperated in trade and war, although sometimes they fought each other. Their trade routes included a small town on the Tiber River, which was the village of Rome. The Romes were Latins, not Etruscans, and were not a member of the Etruscan League. However, in the early days of Rome, when Rome was a kingdom, the Romans did have many Etruscan kings. As Rome grew stronger, the power of the Etruscans grew weaker, and soon the Etruscan League was gone. After the last Etruscan king was chased out of Rome, the people vowed that they would never be ruled by a king again. Rome was no longer a kingdom. In its place, a new form of government was born, a republic, or the Roman Republic. So, your blanks on this slide are 11, Rome; 12, Latins, and Latin is the language that the Romans spoke; 13, Etruscan kings; and number 14, the Roman Republic. So Italy before Roman conquest. And let me really move my picture out of the way so you can see. So this is a map of Italy. We can see that this area is orange. Those were the Romans. And right above it, the red area were the Etruscans. So the Etruscan territory bordered on the Roman territory, which is why Rome had so many Etruscan kings. In its early years, the Romans shared Italy with several other peoples, and here's a map of those people. The dominant power in the neighborhood of Rome was the Etruscans. We don't know very much about these people, in part because we haven't figured out how to read their distinctive language. But the evidence suggests that Rome was ruled by Etruscan kings until the Romans revolted and established a republic, an event that is traditionally dated to 509 BC. So your blanks here are 15, several other peoples, and 16, 509 BC. And these are my sources. You can go ahead and move on to our next assignment now. You will use your guided notes to answer some questions, and then the very last thing on our canvas is an exit ticket.